Hey there! Today, we're going to talk about a really important health marker you've probably heard about, but maybe don't fully get HbA1c. Think of it like a story your blood tells about your health over the long haul. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what it is, why it's such a big deal, and what it can reveal about your well being. So let's jump right in. All right, first things first. How do you even know if this is something you should be paying attention to? Well, your body has ways of sending you signals. Our first step is just learning to recognize what those are. You know how it is. It's so easy to just brush these feelings off as, life. A long week at work, maybe you didn't get enough sleep. But what if it's something more? These really common feelings can sometimes be the very first whispers that your body's ability to manage blood sugar is a little off. And here are some of those more specific signals. We're talking about a kind of fatigue that doesn't just go away with a good night's sleep, or being way more thirsty than usual. Other big clues? Things like blurred vision, or maybe cuts and scrapes that just seem to take forever to heal. And of course, if diabetes runs in your family, that's a huge factor to keep in mind. These aren't just random annoyances. They're potential clues your body is sending you. So why is it so important to listen to these clues? Well, because ignoring them can, over time, lead to some pretty serious health problems. Let's dig in to what's really at stake here. One of the biggest connections to understand is the one between your blood sugar and your heart. When you have consistently high levels of glucose, it can actually damage the blood vessels and the nerves that control your heart. And that, unfortunately, leads to a much, much higher risk of cardiovascular disease down the road. And it doesn't just stop with the heart. Think about your kidneys. They're these amazing little filters, but they can get overwhelmed by too much sugar, and that can lead to damage. The same goes for our nerves. High sugar can affect them, leading to a condition called neuropathy, which can cause anything from numbness and tingling to actual pain. Your eyes are also really vulnerable. See, uncontrolled blood sugar can harm the tiny, delicate blood vessels in your retina. It's a condition called retinopathy. This really drives home how crucial early detection is. We're talking about protecting absolutely essential things like your eyesight. Okay, so we've talked about the warning signs and the risks. Now, let's get into the science of how we actually measure all this. And to do that, we need to introduce the star of our show, glycated hemoglobin, or as it's more commonly known, HbA1c. So before we get to the glycated part, let's start with just plain old hemoglobin. Inside every single one of your red blood cells, you've got this protein, and its job is absolutely critical. It grabs oxygen from your lungs and then chauffeurs it to every other part of your body. Super important stuff. Okay, so what happens when you've got glucose, sugar, floating around in your bloodstream with that hemoglobin? Well, some of that sugar naturally sticks to it. That process is called glycation. So glycated hemoglobin is literally sugar-coated hemoglobin. And the percentage of this sugar-coated protein gives us an amazing insight, your average blood sugar level over time. And here is the absolute key. A single red blood cell lives for about 2 to 3 months. Because that sugar stays stuck to the hemoglobin for the cell's entire lifespan, the HbA1c test gives us this incredible long-term average. This is so different from a daily finger prick test, which just gives you a snapshot in time. You could say a daily test is like checking the weather right now, but the HbA1c test is like looking at the climate report for the entire season. It gives you the big, stable picture. So, if we want to read this 3-month story that our blood is telling, what's the absolute best way to do it? Well, that brings us to what's known as the gold standard of testing. The answer is a method with a bit of a mouthful of a name, High-Performance Liquid Chromatography, or much easier, HPLC. In the world of medical diagnostics, this is it. This is the benchmark for measuring HbA1c, and it's known for being incredibly precise and reliable. This table here breaks it down really simply. The test uses a sample of your whole blood, which gives a really complete picture. The method, like we just said, is HPLC. So why does all this technical stuff matter? Well, it matters because it means you get a comprehensive and super precise analysis, giving you and your doctor the best possible information to work with. Because really, at the end of the day, this is not just about getting a number on a piece of paper. It's about what you do with that information. Understanding your HbA1c is the first, most powerful step you can take to get proactive and take control of your health. This slide really lays out a clear path forward. It all starts with step 1, acknowledging those signs we talked about earlier, just paying attention. Then, Step 2 is getting accurate data with a reliable test. And finally, step 3, once you're armed with that knowledge, you can make informed decisions about your food, your lifestyle, whatever it takes to work towards better health. It's a simple, actionable plan. You know, this quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. This whole thing isn't about fear, it's about empowerment. When you detect and manage these things early, you're actively preventing serious risks and ultimately improving your own quality of life. That is an incredibly powerful position to be in. So we'll end on this question. The data from a test like this, it's not just a number. It's telling a story. It's a story about your habits, your potential risks, but also your opportunities to build a healthier future. The only question left is, are you ready to listen to it? What story is your health telling you?